7th of January 2022. Greetings from Rwanda's capital Kigali. Here is what makes our top stories tonight. The government of Rwanda proposes to increase total resources by 633.6 billion Rwandan francs from 3,807 billion Rwandan francs in the initial 2021-2022 budget to 4,440.6 billion Rwandan francs for the revised budget, representing a 16.6% increase. Foreign exchange traders say that they are now seeing an increase in the need for foreign currency as compared to where it was 2 years, and this, they believe, it affects resilience of the national currency. A very good evening to you and welcome to Rwanda Television News. My name is Sam Kalisa. The government of Rwanda proposes to increase total resources by 633.6 billion Rwandan francs from 3,807 billion Rwandan francs in the initial 2021-2022 budget to 4,440.6 billion Rwandan francs for the revised budget, representing a 16.6% increase. Finance and Economic Planning Minister Dr. Uzuel Ndagijimana this Monday presented before a virtual parliamentary setting the revised budget for the year 2021-2022. Ethan Tashobia begins off tonight's bulletin with this report.
As the General Assembly considered the basis of the draft law amending the state budget for the 2021-2022, the Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Dr. Uzuel Ndagijimana, pointed out that this year's budget has been revised upwards due to the increased incoming grants and loans. Minister Ndagijimana told the Parliament that the government intends to increase total resources by 633.6 billion Rwandan francs, representing a 16.6% increase.
Muri rusange turasaba ko ingengo y'imari ingana na miliyari 3,800.
In general, we are seeking that the current national budget of 3,807 billion Rwandan francs, which was approved by the Parliament in June 2021, be revised upwards to 4,440.6 billion Rwandan francs, which means an increase of about 633.6 billion Rwandan francs, representing 16.6%. The proposed increase of the budget is due to increased domestic revenues, grants and loans. Domestic revenues will increase by 155 billion Rwandan francs from 1,993 billion Rwandan francs in the original budget to 2,148 billion Rwandan francs, representing a 7% rise. This is attributed to additional taxes and other revenues expected following the recovery of the economic activities. Minister Uzuel Ndagijimana further stated that grants are expected to increase by 25.4 billion Rwandan francs from 612.2 billion Rwandan francs in the original budget to 637.6 billion Rwandan francs, while loans are expected to increase from 651.4 billion Rwandan francs to 1,469.7 billion Rwandan francs on the account of Eurobonds, as well as resources to combat the effects of COVID-19. Ndagijimana also pointed out that in the last 7 months, the state budget has been executed at 59%. He also outlined the number of public institutions whose budgets are going to increase with the revised budget. The budget for the Ministry of Infrastructure increased due to some of the issues mentioned by Honorable Habineza, which is Commonwealth Heads of State meeting. There are several infrastructure projects established, especially at Kigali International Airport, as well as in Musanze, where small jets will park. As part of the preparations for CHOGM, the budget for the Ministry of Infrastructure had to be increased. There are other institutions which have been recently established. I'll give an example of the Rwandan Embassy in Poland, the National Cyber Security Authority, where some organizations were merged into one.
Bivuze ko mu ngengo y'imari hasigara mu gusa ayo bakoresheje bigahita bifunga none ingengo y'imari kwimurira mu rwego rushya cyangwa mu kigo gishya.
Some lawmakers questioned where the extra money will come from and why government agencies have increased the budget, while in other institutions their budgets dropped. Now, in the explanatory note, we noticed that tax revenues decreased significantly to a point of losing about 2.5 billion Rwandan francs. But again, there are some measures adopted to mitigate this issue. But my question is, what caused this loss in the tax revenues? The Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Dr. Uziel Ndagijimana, explained that the extra funds mentioned in the revised budget was allocated to the priority sectors, but reassured the legislators that the government is aware that more public institutions shall have their budgets revised upwards as funds become available. He also outlined measures through which the government will fill the deficit in the national budget.
On
the issue of budget gaps, where there was a deficit of about 173 billion Rwandan francs, we managed to get 41 billion Rwandan francs. We believe that in the revised budget, we shall cover some of the deficit and the remaining gap shall be pushed to the next budget. The General Assembly of the Chamber of Deputies approved the revised government spending for the year 2021-2022. Reporting for RwandaTV News, Ethan Tashabia.
Thank you very much, Ethan Tashobia. And as we stay in the Parliament, but this time in the Senate, at the beginning of the second ordinary session 2021-2022, the Senate Committee on Economic Development and Finance presented to the General Assembly the conclusions reached on the review of the report of the Central Bank of Rwanda for the 2020-2021 financial year. The Commission noted that efforts are still needed to maintain the monetary value of the local currency and dealing with price fluctuations. Innocent Mugabo has the report.
The issue of price fluctuation, maintaining the value of the Rwandan franc, increasing the level of domestic production and increasing exports were on top of what senators say they should be strengthened. Following the presentation of the Committee on Economic Development and Finance, senators expressed some concerns. The fact that traders are charged while withdrawing money from their mobile accounts is not appropriate, because this is turning down the progress we had made during the COVID-19 pandemic. We've seen the loss that has been incurred in the insurance sector. Our country has put more effort in reducing road accidents. So the senators should have instead profited. So I don't understand why. Senators find it necessary for the Central Bank of Rwanda, in collaboration with the relevant authorities, should put more effort in supporting the agriculture sector to get access to credit and insurance, and that financial institutions need to establish an agribusiness desk as a way to help the sector's development. The General Assembly of the Senate finds that much has been done to keep the country's economy afloat despite the COVID-19 pandemic that has hindered the country's economic growth, according to the President of the Committee on Economic Development and Finance, Juvenal Musi. This is something we need to be proud of as a country, because the use of cashless means increased from 4 to 11%. The pandemic came but taught us to take an appropriate measure to increase the economy of our country. The fact that government institutions, citizens as well as other stakeholders embraced it is really amazing, and as it was a way to help people get out of problems caused by the pandemic. The Senate General Assembly on Monday, after receiving the Economic Development and the Finance Committee's report on the review of the BNR report for the financial year 2020-2021, decided to invite the government's representative to comment on the issues raised regarding the depreciation of national currency, market price fluctuations, small-scale investment in agriculture and animal husbandry, loans from commercial banks and microfinance institutions, money transfer technology, the functioning of the Economic Recovery Fund, and the problems in the insurance sector.
Thank you, Innocent Mugabo, for the report. And moving ahead, foreign exchange traders say they are now seeing an increase in the need for foreign currency as compared to where it was 2 years ago. And this, they believe, they believe it affects the resilience of the Rwandan currency. Economic analysts say efforts to increase the size of Rwanda's export is one of the solutions to this. Ethan Tashobia has more.
According to a report by the Central Bank of Rwanda, when you compare the Rwandan currency against the foreign currency in the last 2 years, it has lost its value. For instance, in comparison with the euros, the Rwandan currency depreciated by 3.2% in 2020, while in 2021, the Rwandan currency went further down to 11.5%. During the same period, the Rwandan franc also depreciated by 4.3% against the US dollars in 2020, while in 2021, the Rwandan currency depreciated by 5.3%. Gasana Vianney, the CEO of the Rwanda Foreign Exchange Service Association, says the need for foreign currency is growing due to the nature of the international trade. There is an increase in demand for foreign currency. We believe that in China they are still in festive season, and that affects the cost of foreign currency. We hope that this will change in due course when the economy reopens there. Rwanda's exports to the international market in 2020-2021 fiscal year were valued at $1.487 billion from $1.277 billion in 2019-2020, an increase of about 16.4%. Robert Bafakureda, the chairperson of the Rwanda Private Sector Federation, says Rwanda's investment still has its limitations on the price of basic raw materials, which are mostly imported and traded in foreign currency. Most of the raw materials we use do not come from this region, and for that reason, most people ship from abroad, and it affects the production on the local market. Economic analyst Manila Chingamanase says good progress has been made in increasing the number of manufacturing industries in the country, but there is still a need to increase the size of exports. There is need to increase agricultural output to make sure that food prices remain stable, but also looking at how to increase agriculture and food exports. That is very, very important. Finance and Economic Planning Minister Dr. Uziel Ndagijimana says that although the country's economy has been hit by COVID-19 pandemic, it has not prevented it from recovering due to the ongoing inflation control measures. Total domestic expenditure increased by 14.9% between December 2020 and November 2021. Net foreign earnings dropped by 7% towards the end of 2021 compared to December 2022. But our economy has sufficient reserves for foreign currency, which can sustain us for about 6 months. We still have more than enough, but as you all know, we have a lot to do for our economy to continue growing. Rwanda's economy grew by 10.2% in 2021, largely based on the implementations of the COVID-19 control measures. Rwanda's economic recovery mechanisms are expected to continue supporting the country's economy to grow even stronger in 2022, according to the international economic outlooks. Reporting for RTV News, Ethan Tashabia.
And now to infrastructure matters and the sector at large. Some residents say that while a lot has been done to increase infrastructure development, something that has boosted the development of the country and theirs as well, more effort is still needed to increase access to clean water. Statistics from the Ministry of Infrastructure indicate that currently 89.2% of the population have access to clean water, while the target is to achieve 100% water access by 2024. The ministry also estimates that the amount of water used per day in the country has reached 322,852 cubic meters, while the target is that by 2024, Rwanda will be able to supply 444,995 cubic meters of water per day. Experts, however, say that the collaborations between different stakeholders, including citizens, is needed if the country is to achieve the target of 100% water access by 2024. And as we move ahead, delegates from Zimbabwe, led by the Minister of Women Affairs, Sitembiso Nyoni, visited the Isange One-Stop Center located in Kachiru in Kigali. Minister Nyoni pointed out that the problem of gender-based violence is not only in Rwanda and that it should be fought by all family members to avoid silence so that the perpetrators can be held responsible. Martina Abeda has the report.
Minister Nyoni was given an explanation on all the services provided at the Isange One-Stop Center and visited the place where these services are offered, such as the reception rooms for women, men, or children who have been subjected to various forms of violence. Zimbabwe's Minister of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprises Development, Dr. Sithembiso Nyoni, finds that victims of gender-based violence should speak up so their perpetrator can be brought to justice.
We are also saying to men, please come out, because our aim is to build a society of harmony between men and women, and a society that protects its children. Because if you don't come up as a parent and then the children see you being victimized and you keep quiet, they will also do the same when they grow up.
Minister of Gender and Family Promotion in Rwanda, Professor Jeannette Bayisenge, said it is good for countries to visit and exchange experience as both sides benefit.
Ibibazo ari abanyarwanda bafite bijyanye n'imibereho bijyanye n'iterambere.
Problems that Rwandans have in terms of social development, you find that they have it in common with their counterparts in other countries. So it's always good to know how they work in other countries so we can learn from them and they can learn from us as well. We can exchange ideas and see what steps can be taken. It is in this context that we came to Isange One-Stop Center today, because sexual and gender-based violence is at a level that does not make us happy as Rwandans and other countries as well. Both ministers expressed concern that there was an increase in sexual and gender-based violence during this COVID-19 pandemic, and that the cause of this must be found as well as a solution. The 5-year data from 2016, according to RIB, shows that 42,117 people have been sexually abused, including child molestation, which accounts for 41% of all sexual-related violence cases. Those that were abused, who were aged between 16 and 21, are 17,427. This is followed by marital assault, which is at 23.23%, while in the third place, rape is at 7.74%. Martina Abera, RTV News.
And on behalf of the entire news production team that made it happen, thank you very much for being with us. My name stays Sam Kalisa, wishing you a safe evening and a fruitful week ahead. Goodbye.